everybody, welcome to the Fantoid Podcast. I'm Chris Anthony from FantasyoMatic.com. Really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to check out the pod. And that's all it's going to take, just a couple minutes, because the Fantoid Podcast is really a mini pod that generally runs about 5 minutes. We're going to talk about everything related to fantasy football using data generated by the machine learning model that you're probably already familiar with over at FantasyoMatic.com. And you may be familiar with this model from the old Sirius radio days, or from the features over a couple of seasons on NFL.com. In this pilot episode, we're going to look first at what is FantasyoMatic. Now, we can actually ask FantasyoMatic what it is, because it is a machine learning model. I've acted as the human voice of this model for many years now, but I also gave it a trained voice model, so we can actually ask it questions much like Siri. So let's try it out. Hey, FantasyoMatic, what is FantasyoMatic?
FantasyoMatic is a performance prediction system based on a proprietary machine learning model. The model is built upon ridge regression and uses fantasy points as the response.
All right, okay, maybe that is a little bit too technical, so I'll just give it a shot. Now, we used to describe this as an algorithm, but in recent years, the word algorithm has morphed into a noun that basically describes anything that's stored in a spreadsheet, and that term has totally lost its meaning. What FantasyoMatic actually is a machine learning model. And machine learning models cannot be trained on spreadsheets, and they refer to very specific ways to evaluate data. Now, in our case, we do this for the purpose of predictive analysis. The FantasyoMatic model is really composed of 4 different models, one for each of the following positions: quarterback, running back, tight end, and you guessed it, wide receiver. A separate ridge regression model is trained and retrained for each position. Now, for all 4 positions, the model is going to use the following predictors: opposing defense, that's a big one; location of the game, like home or away; the type of turf in which a game was played. Those aren't all weighted the same, by the way. There's also some secret sauce factors in there, some additional predictors like passing attempts, rushing attempts, passing targets. Those are all added to the model for the quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver positions, respectively. Then, weekly fantasy data, including the variables I just mentioned, are used as input to train and retrain the model. These models are retrained every Monday night while you sleep, when the new data is available to us after the conclusion of all the scheduled NFL games, and that's why our updates are available on Tuesdays. Now, to make our model easier to consume, and to be able to sync the outputs of the 4 models across all position categories, our output results are 0 to 100 ratings. Very similar, and this is totally by design, to those that you see over at Madden, for example. We actually have 4 different ratings, and I wanted to go over all those in today's pod. Each of them has their own strategic use in season-long fantasy football. The most common is the player rating. This is the overall year-to-date or career-to-date value of a player compared to other players. This rating takes into account their career games played and is weighted for the strength of the opponents that they faced. That's a big deal here. All you need to know about these ratings is the highest rating, which could be 100, is the better player to either own, start, or acquire. So the closer to 100, the better the player. And you can just compare them that way. The higher number is better. The best way to think of these ratings is that they reflect a player's ability to outperform difficult fantasy matchups while also showing the ability to take advantage of easy matchups. This is the heart of the FantasyoMatic model. Another rating you see all over our rankings is week rating. This rating is assigned to the player on the current week, or at FantasyoMatic, you'll know that premium members get access to rankings for future weeks. So we're using the week rating for those weeks. This rating takes into account player rating, plus factors like the opponent that week, home away, surface. You can see all the different factors. If you click on them, there's a little visual indicator that's called matchup adjustments in the rankings. And in these cases, the highest rating for the week is the better start of the week. Same thing there. Keep it easy. We also have rest of season rating. This is a total of all the remaining week ratings for the rest of the season, all based on the ratings of the current week projected forward. So the highest rating is better to have for the rest of the season. Similar to that is the trade value. Each of the 4 different models is calibrated to the others so that you can use the 0 to 100 rating evenly across all the positions. This makes it a great tool for trade analysis involving players from different positions. The rest of season rating is likely the most useful of all of our ratings because it shows the future value, or the value after you acquire or release them in a trade. And in this rating, again, the highest rating is the better player to acquire. You can actually find that in our premium tool for comparing players or even the trade evaluation.
2 minutes.
All right, so the final 2 minutes. Why would we go through all this? What is the point? Well, if we're going to define the perfect player for season-long fantasy, it would be a player who consistently takes advantage of easy matchups while outperforming bad matchups. This was the goal in creating this model in the first place. Now, while those players are very difficult to find and generally rate out as 99 in our player ratings, there's also a continuum within the ratings that helps us find a player close to that perfect profile for either a single game or an entire season. Meanwhile, we can also avoid the worst possible type of player for our teams. You know those guys, the ones who consistently fail to take advantage of easy matchups while having maximum negative impact on their production caused by bad ones? At FantasyoMatic.com and here on the Fantoid podcast, we'll provide all the tools you need to find those players on your roster, either on waivers or through trades. We don't care about names. Honestly, we don't even pay attention to names. Hype, news, what everybody else is talking about. We just let the machine do the talking.
And this machine loves to talk.
And our goal here in the Fantoid MiniPod is to work up to delivering episodes a few times a week. We'll focus one on waivers with an eye towards pickups for future weeks, another one profiling player situations for the current week, and likely another that's going to lead up to the games over the weekend. We'll have a couple other explainer pods like this one. We'll do things like player profiles, one-question guest interviews, featured tricks on how to use the site premium tools to help you use machine learning to take the guesswork out of fantasy football. You won't need to be a data scientist to follow, even though I know a lot of you are. The goal will be to help interpret what the machine tells us and turn those into actionable info. So please subscribe, leave us a rating, support us on Patreon. I'd ask you to tell a friend, but honestly, if we're doing our jobs here at FantasyoMatic, then you're not going to want to tell anybody about your secret weapon to season-long success. So maybe tell someone who's not in your league. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes to put the Fantoid MiniPod in your ears. We'll look forward to talking to you on future episodes. This is Chris Anthony from FantasyoMatic.